Hello. If you liked the video, I would like to remind everyone that you can be aware of every video by subscribing to my channel and turning on notifications. You can support us by doing this. Enjoy watching. Birth and youth. Born in Valinor, Fingolfin is the son of Finwë and Indies. Fingolfin never mistreated Fëanor, but there was rivalry between them. Finarfin, the wisest of the brothers, was a just and wise character. Fëanor was the strongest in language and skill, and was superior to his brothers. Fingolfin is described as the strongest, determined and daring personality, while Finarfin is described as the most just and wise person. Melkor spreads lies and vile rumors, causing conflict among the Noldor, and Valinor's glory days come to an end. In Valinor, unrest begins among Finwë's sons, and Fingolfin criticizes his brother Fëanor's arrogance. Fëanor threatens Fingolfin and creates discontent among the Noldor. The Vala interrogate Fëanor and exile him. Fingolfin forgives, but Fëanor remains silent and accepts exile. Fëanor and his 7 sons decide to go into exile and gather treasure and weapons in Formenos. Finwë loves Fëanor and wants to go with him, and Fingolfin takes over the Noldor. Because of the seeds of Melkor, the animosity lasts for a long time. Manwë organizes a feast to calm the unrest among the Noldor. Fëanor makes peace with Fingolfin and they make a promise to each other. It is said that when Fëanor and Fingolfin were before Manwë, the lights mingled as both trees shone, and the silent city of Valmar was bathed in a glow of silver and gold. At that very hour, Melkor and Ungoliant destroyed the trees. When the news reached the feast, Manwë asked Fëanor if he could give the Silmarils. Just then, another piece of news came. Morgoth went to Fëanor's house and slew Finwë and stole the Silmarils. Journey to Middle-earth. Fëanor and his sons take a terrible vow and decide to go to Middle-earth. This oath also bound Fingolfin, for he had sworn to Fëanor that he would always follow him. They went to Alquilon to seek help from the Teleri. The Teleri elves refused to help. Fëanor was enraged and decided to go to the harbor and take the ships by force. However, the Teleri resisted Fëanor, and both sides suffered heavy losses, but Fingolfin's vanguard and Fingon came to the rescue of the Noldor's vanguard. The Teleri were defeated and most of the sailors living in Alquilon were slain. And then they began their journey to Middle-earth. They crossed the mountainous and cold deserts of Araman. They see a shadow there and suddenly hear a curse and a prophecy known as the Prophecy of the North and the Judgment of the Noldor. This prophecy foretells the suffering and curse that will befall the Noldor. Fëanor continues on his way, keeping his oath. They decide to cross a dangerous strait called Helcarax. They decide to use the ships to cross to Middle-earth, but the number of ships is small. First, a ship from Fëanor's group crosses into Middle-earth. Maedhros asks Fëanor what will happen to the people and ships left behind. Fëanor, nobody and nobody. I no longer count what I left behind as lost, we have already seen that they are an unnecessary burden along the way. Let those who curse my name and still curse my name go, let them return to the cage of the Vala. Burn those ships. Fëanor set fire to the white ships of the Teleri and continued the march of the Noldor. Fingolfin, however, went on with great sorrow, and with the courage and fortitude of the Noldor he went through the hard roads and into the other lands. In the battle of Daedrnu-in-Gileath, Fëanor was defeated and died. Maedhros was taken prisoner. Fingon went to rescue and rescued Maedhros. He ended the conflict between the Fingolfin and Fëanor dynasties, and Maedhros renounced his claim to rule. Fingolfin was granted the right to rule. Disputes arose again between the reunited dynasties of the Noldor, Fëanor, and Fingolfin. The dynasty of Fëanor came to be known as the Deprived. King Fingolfin of the Noldor holds a great feast by the river Narek. The joy experienced at this feast is called Merit Atterthad. While there was bliss under the sun and moon in this period, shadow still poses a threat in the north. At that time, people came to Middle-earth. Nearly 400 years had passed since the siege of Angband began. Dejur Bragollach, Battle of Sudden Flame. It was a dark and moonless winter night, and the wide plain of Ardgalen stretched dimly in the cold starlight from the hilltop strongholds of the Noldor to the foothills of Thangorodrim. But Morgoth, breaking the silence, sent rivers of fire from Thangorodrim and covered the plain with fire. Thus began the fourth great battle, the Dejur Bragollach, Battle of Sudden Flame. Large armies of orcs attacked, led by Glorung and the Balrogs. They attacked the castles of the Noldor, breaking the siege, and slaughtering the Noldor and their allies, the Grey Elves and men. Upon this news, Fingolfin considers it the final destruction of the Noldor and the irrevocable defeat of all dynasties. Filled with great grief and resentment, Fingolfin mounted her Mount Rochler and drove away alone. No one could stop her. Fingolfin's death. Fingolfin came alone to the gates of Angband to challenge Morgoth. In a fierce battle, Fingolfin stabs Morgoth 7 times, but he is eventually killed by Morgoth. After the fight, Morgoth snatched the Elven king's body and bent it in half to throw it as bait to his wolves, but Thorondor quickly left his home. And Thorondor attacked Morgoth and wounded his face. Fingolfin's death causes great suffering among the elves, and he is taken to the Vale of Gondolin by Thorondor, king of the eagles. Turgon builds a magnificent monument to his father Fingolfin. It was impossible to describe the grief that fell upon Hithlum when the news of Fingolfin's death came, and Fingon anguished presided over the dynasty of Fingolfin and the kingdom of the Noldor.